Alright guys, what's going on? TheAireaidLord's back, and kind of taking it back to the roots of the channel a little bit. Usually I do reaction videos and whatnot for different types of television-related content for the YouTube channel, but today I actually wanted to do a video that was more in line with what my channel used to be, more about when I was doing game playthroughs. This is going to be E3, as you can see. I always put up some type of thumbnail for XSplit. I have to say XSplit works well for this, because whatever video it's about, I just put up a thumbnail or picture from whatever it is. So when I did like the Stranger Things review back in March, I had a picture of Stranger Things. When I reacted to the Game of Thrones trailer, I had a Game of Thrones Season 7 picture up. Now we have E3 2017, and I've done some of these videos in the past where I've talked about E3. Hell, I actually had the privilege of being able to go to E3. E3 2013, I was there, which was a big year because the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One had just been announced that year, and then they were coming out later in the year, so it was very exciting. There was a lot of drama with Xbox's limitations of its features at the time, PlayStation talking about used games and how they kind of burned Microsoft. There was a lot of industry drama at the time, and it was interesting to be in person and to see all of that. It was very exciting. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel where I have a bunch of vlogs I took of gameplay from games that were coming out that year. All those games are probably out by now. And then just, you know, interviews with people and me just walking around the Los Angeles Convention Center. It was very, very fun. And I'd love to go again sometime in the future. Just the opportunity hasn't come up. Those tickets, you have to be like an industry level specific person. It's also expensive, not to mention flight, hotel. The ticket itself's like $1,000 plus, even if you get access to go. I had a friend of a friend who worked the event that sponsors it, and I was at a July 4th cookout with them, and they kind of, you know, greased the wheels and helped me get onto that. But I haven't really looked into that favor since, simply because I've been, you know, I've had my own stuff going on. I've usually been working every single week that E3's going on. I'm usually working. All the past summers I've been working internships or something, and I haven't had that week off. It just so happened E3 2013, I had just graduated high school, and I had the time to actually take that trip out to Los Angeles. But anyway, not to get too wrapped up into that, I want to do predictions of what I want to see at E3 2017. I know that I probably haven't played a lot of the games that have come out for the next gen. I've played a good number of them. You know, I stayed up with some of the heavy hitters. I just actually I can show you guys on the webcam, actually. I just bought Prey, used copy from GameStop, actually. I had to go trade in Bulletstorm, because I bought the definitive edition of Bulletstorm, and I beat the game on the hardest difficulty. I did a speed run, and the matchmaking wasn't working, so there was no reason for me to keep it, so I traded it in towards Prey, which I heard was a pretty decent game. Arcane Studios, Bethesda, can't go wrong there. There haven't been any big games that I've really been looking forward to. Like 2016, you kind of had some duds. Like, there were so many sequels that I was looking forward to and having quality, and they ended up just not having any quality. To name a few, there was Deus Ex Mankind Divided, there was Watch Dogs 2, Dishonored 2. There were sequels to games that I really enjoyed, and the games were either too short, didn't have enough warranted content, or the game was literally just a rehash of the first game. It was the same gameplay, same mechanics, maybe a few new features, but the story and the plot just was very boring, blasé, and it just didn't seem like a lot of time was put in. I hated Dishonored 2. Deus Ex Mankind Divided I thought was too short and had a shitty plot. They had some new augmentations, but again, nothing really new was added. And then Watch Dogs 2 was decent, but I thought that they could have gone a little farther. I hated the character of Marcus. I think the plot of the first game was way better, and I was just bored with the plot the whole game. The gameplay mechanics of Watch Dogs 2, they did improve. I did like that, but I still really disliked. There were a lot of sequels in 2016 that I purchased that I really disliked. Many of those games I didn't even put on my YouTube channel. Deus Ex Mankind Divided I did take footage of, and I still have some of the playthrough parts on my computer, but I never uploaded them just because at the time I didn't think people were really interested. I have like one video of it back in like early September. Again, I didn't think people were really interested in seeing that. At the time, I was doing a lot of Walking Dead prediction videos. It was moving into the Season 7 premiere, which with the big cliffhanger Negan death, so I didn't really want to bog people down with gameplay footage. So, you know, 2016 in some ways was a disappointment. The only games I really played in 2016 that were worth the damn, Uncharted 4, I beat that game, did a playthrough of it that's on the channel. Great game. I played many of all of the DLCs for Black Ops 3 Zombies. I'm a big Zombies fan. Obviously, that goes with The Walking Dead, my interest in The Walking Dead. I did the Easter eggs for all of those maps. All those videos are on my channel. So I'm a big Black Ops Zombie fan. I have a group of friends I play it with. So I was pretty dedicated. Every time those Black Ops DLCs would come out, I would be dedicated to playing the Zombie mode. Not really big into the multiplayer, but I would play the Zombie mode. And then just odds and end games. You know, I actually beat Half-Life 2 recently. I never played it before, and I had it on my computer on Steam for the longest time. Beat that recently. And in terms of other gameplay, I just, you know, I dabble around with old games. So I haven't really been playing a lot of the new games. Like, I haven't played any of the Dark Souls games. I bought The Witcher 3 and really just never beat it. There were just a lot of games I haven't touched. Stuff that came out in 2016 and even this most recent year that I haven't touched. So with all that being said, what games could come out or what information could come out that I would be interested in seeing at E3 2017? Well, I have a couple games just off the top of my head. The Last of Us 2. I have a full playthrough of The Last of Us from 2013 on my YouTube channel, the original edition that came out on PS3. Amazing game. I'm a big fan of Naughty Dog. My favorite game of all time, Jak and Daxter, and the Jak 2, made by Naughty Dog for the PlayStation 2. I've played every one of their games. Anything before Crash Bandicoot I didn't play, obviously, because they weren't really mainstream, but I played all the Crash Bandicoot games. I didn't beat all of them. Those were just games I played as a kid, but, you know, Jak and Daxter, I did play and beat all of those. Those are my favorite game series. I got into Uncharted pretty late, but I did eventually beat the original 3 Uncharteds, and then I did Uncharted 4 as soon as it came out. And then, obviously, The Last of Us I did play. I've been hoping for a Jak 4 for the longest time from Naughty Dog, but it seems like they're doing more realistic games, and I just don't have hope in it. So, but hell, I mean, The Last of Us had an amazing story, phenomenal, and I have no doubt that The Last of Us 2 is, you know, I don't expect any less quality from the second one. I expect, you know, above and beyond for Neil Druckmann and everyone else involved with that project. So, Last of Us 2, Borderlands 3. Now, Borderlands 3, I want to say it's in development and should be coming out at least by the end of this year or next year. Borderlands 2 came out a long time ago. 2012, actually. This fall will be the 5-year anniversary of when that game came out. Now, there have been other games released by Gearbox, such as the pre-sequel, and to be honest, the pre-sequel just used the engine of the second game, and it was almost like a mini-game. It was a mini-game on the last-gen consoles when the next-gen consoles were out. Came out in 2014, so again, it was really almost like a Borderlands 2.5. It wasn't really a full kind of experience. It did have, you know, new characters to play as, and it filled in the plot of the events between the first and the second game, which is cool. It went into the story of the villain from the second game, Handsome Jack. But this is Gearbox's opportunity to put out a next-gen Borderlands, which would be phenomenal. I love the artistic style of Borderlands, the loot and shoot. Obviously, some other loot and shoots have come out as of recent that are trying to compete with it. Destiny being one of the biggest. Now that Destiny 2 is coming out later this year. Destiny originally was a debacle, but it seems like the second one is promising a lot of what was lacking from the first one. Should be a pretty comprehensive story, but, you know, I digress on that. I loved Borderlands, man. I have 2 full playthroughs, like 90-plus parts of both Borderlands 1 and 2. Both from 2012. Again, you have to do a little digging around on my channel, but those playthroughs are there. And I love those games. I played Borderlands 2 when it first came out, and then I didn't play Borderlands 1 until 2 weeks before the second one. I actually did a playthrough of the first one to prepare for the second one, because I was playing it with a larger YouTuber at the time, and so I kind of had to have some knowledge of the game series and a knowledge of the mechanics so that I could properly, you know, go about just, you know, playing the game with them. So I'm excited. I'm really excited, and I really hope there's gameplay footage of it. I expect they've released a trailer for The Last of Us 2, so I got to expect footage to be at E3 for that. Borderlands 3, they showed a tech demo at GDC, Game Developer Conference, but they didn't really go into it at all. All they did was show off the game engine, which I have to believe is good news because that's obviously the engine the game's going to run on. But I don't know. It's debatable what, you know, what they'll show. Maybe they'll just show a trailer. Maybe they'll show some gameplay. I don't know. I really hope we see something from it. So Borderlands 3, you know, big game. And again, it has more games to compete with now. But you know, Gearbox kind of lost sale on the Battleborn. Battleborn was completely destroyed, for lack of a better adjective, destroyed by Overwatch. Both games very similar, but Blizzard and, you know, Overwatch just became the more popular shooter. That game has, you know, more users, you know, more tournaments, more everything. I mean, I play the game a little bit. My friends like to play it with me a little bit. I've played Battleborn a couple of times on my brother's Xbox, but, you know, it's unfortunate because I can see the similarities of Battleborn to some of the gameplay mechanics of Borderlands, but, you know, I don't know. It was just kind of a failed experiment in a way. I mean, the game was good, but it just came out at a time when another successful game, Overwatch, was coming out, and just one game beat out the sales of another, you know? So, unfortunate, but, you know, I guess that's just the way it is. Another game I want to see at E3 is the new Assassin's Creed. Now, Assassin's Creed, for the first time since 2008, took a year off in 2016. Instead, Watch Dogs 2 was the game that kind of took over Ubisoft's fall train, like the period of time where they have some type of large title coming out in the fall to give them sales and quarterly numbers. Now that Far Cry 5 has been announced for the spring of 2018, that has a definitive date, by the way, just to say that. Far Cry 5 has a definitive release date of like February 20th, 2018 or something. Apparently the redneck Christian vibe of the game has been, you know, stirring the wrong, you know, pots of some people. And listen, you know, if it was, all I have to say is if, you know, if you were, you know, not politically correct in some other part of U.S. history, I don't know if people would be, you know, crying so much, but because, you know, that denomination is very touchy-feely, I suppose people were not happy with the vibe of the game. But again, I don't care, because again, it's a video game. It's a satire of a certain area of culture. Every Far Cry game has done this. The second one was in Africa. The third one was on some deserted tropical island. The fourth one was in the frickin' Himalayas. Like, every game is a different setting and a different satire on a setting. So, you know, don't let don't let the characters of the setting fool you. All right. So, just want to put that out there real quick. But yeah, Far Cry 5. I would be okay with them showing some gameplay. I want to see something new. Far Cry 4 was very similar to Far Cry 3. I didn't play Far Cry Primal simply because I was kind of Far Cry'd out at that point. You know, Far Cry 3 I loved. It was my favorite game of 2012. Far Cry 4 I played and beat. I did a full playthrough of it, but the game just kind of felt like Far Cry 3.5. Same gameplay mechanics. You know, there were, you know, it's the same thing. Skin animals and, you know, to get upgrades. Get leaves to get medicine pouches, and, you know, the villain of the game was supposed to be like Voss from the third game, where he's this crazy over-the-top psychopath, and you have some sort of relation to him. And just the game, it just felt dialed in. It didn't feel like it was very original. It had a shitty co-op mode. It was, you know, I just didn't really like it as much as the third game, and it tried to be a copycat. And Primal, for me, was a step back because it was set in the Stone Age, so it takes away all of the gunplay and the outpost raiding, and, you know, you got animal powers and stuff like that, but at that point, I was Far Cry'd out. Having played those two games in quick succession of 2 years, I just wasn't ready for another one so soon, so, trying to think. So, yeah, the new Assassin's Creed, there have been a lot of leaks saying that it's going to be in Egypt. I think that's cool, but I don't know what Ubisoft is going to do to diversify the character of this new game, and to give the game a new gameplay kind of overhaul. And I feel like that's the time they took off is to give the game an overhaul. I have to believe that. So in terms of Assassin's Creed, you need I feel like, in my opinion, you need a new main character. I loved Assassin's Creed when you had the dual storylines going on. It would always be the character in the past that had the ancestral relationship with the character in the present. That present character being Desmond Miles, but unfortunately, spoiler warning, they kill off Desmond Miles in Assassin's Creed 3. And after that, the series just doesn't feel like it has much of a purpose anymore. It's just like, oh, here's another game where you're playing as some type of assassin who has to learn his abilities, and then, you know, there's Templars and maybe some ancient civilization magical artifact that tips the scales, and it just never feels very fulfilling. There's no main characters, and I didn't play Assassin's Creed Unity. I did play the one in London, which I don't even remember the name of it, but I remember playing the one in London, and the characters were just so forgettable. The gameplay was pretty cool, but the characters were completely forgettable. The plot was stupid, and the present-day plot, I just felt was all over the place. Like, I didn't know who I was following and for what reason. Again, without Desmond, the game just kind of lost its purpose in a way. And I felt like the series was just kind of just drifting off into space. Like, it just didn't have any type of purpose anymore. So, for Assassin's Creed, you need a new main character that's somehow related to the Assassin Order that Desmond Miles was a part of in the present. Again, like, the first 3 Assassin's Creed games, we're talking, you know, all of the Ezio games, 1 and then 3. You had Warren Vidic, who was basically the end, like, you know, the villainous leader of Abstergo, and then you had Desmond Miles as the hero of, you know, the Assassins. Like, them butting heads in the present, and then using the past to aid their discovery and to aid their attempt at succeeding. I liked that. Like, that kept the game interesting, because you also got character development from the characters in the past, and that linked over to the present. Like, that's the whole concept of what Assassin's Creed is, but so many of the Assassin's Creed games have just been like, oh, you're some random guy in the Animus, and you're accessing memories. Congratulations. Now access the memories and just, you know, play the game and shut up. Like, but for me, having played the game since the beginning, I know that there's more to the game than that, and I think there should be. So, new Assassin's Creed footage. Want to see that, and I want it to be good, alright? Whatever it is in Egypt, Cairo, who cares? I'd like to see it in Japan, maybe. Asia will get a little love, but still, you know, it's got to be something to redeem the series. And then what other games off the top of my head? I don't want to go too long in this video, but I know there's a new Spider-Man game by Insomniac, PlayStation exclusive. Awesome. PlayStation's doing really well with the exclusive. Xbox's only exclusive that I can even think I've wanted to play is Crackdown 3. This game was announced a long time ago, and I think finally there's gameplay and a reveal of when it's going to be released. Finally, because my Xbox One collects dusts other than me dabbling around in the Master Chief collection to play multiplayer, and or when I'm playing the Borderlands collection that my brother bought, the HD one that has the, you know, pre-sequel and the second game. Other than that, I'm not really using my Xbox One, so Xbox needs something, and they're probably going to talk about their stupid Project Scorpio this year. Of course, they're probably going to, you know, say that it's the, you know, the next greatest thing, that it'll cure cancer and give you a blowjob and every other stupid thing with the virtual reality. PlayStation won't care. They've got their 4K PS4 right now, and they're already dabbling with virtual reality, and they're already a leg up on it. And they've got better exclusives to sell their consoles, so I don't really think there's much of a threat from Xbox in this regard. If you want my opinion, I once again think that PlayStation will take the stage, and if Red Dead Redemption 2 gets footage at the PlayStation booth, then that's basically it. The reason I'm leaving out Red Dead 2 is because the game got delayed till spring. Of course, Rockstar loves to do this. They did this with GTA 5 as well. Also, they don't typically go to E3. The summer that GTA 5 was going to come out, they only had a trailer, and it was just a trailer that I already played before, so there really was no additional gameplay. You know, because they make so much money, they, you know, do things far different than other companies do. So, let's see. That's pretty much it. Borderlands 3 and Last of Us 2 are the big games that I really want to see gameplay of. I'm trying to think of what other games could have footage. I know Battlefront 2, EA just had their press conference a few hours ago. Battlefront 2, the EA version, I have a little bit more faith in because it's taking storylines from all three of the different universes of Star Wars. You've got space battles. It seems like they fixed all of the problems from the first game. I didn't buy the first game because I thought it was such a disaster of a game with all the promises they made. They just fell flat on their faces. And if this Battlefront 2 game had been what they released for the first game, they probably could have released a much better product and not pissed everyone off, because it's probably going to affect sales. No matter how well you market this thing as fixing every problem known to man, you still lose viewers on that first transaction. So it wasn't smart to lose people that way. Destiny 2, again, I'm not going to buy that game at launch. I will wait and see what people think about it, because I blindly bought Destiny at launch thinking it was going to be the next great thing, thinking Bungie, respecting them for all the Halo games they made, and the game ended up being a ripoff. A $60 DLC with DLC on the way that was locked on the disc. Terrible story. Just a disaster of a game at launch. Had good gameplay, some cool monsters, cool settings, but just none of it mattered because it was just literally the same thing. Horde mode, shooting guys nonstop. The multiplayer was cool, but the game was just stupid. Like, once you got to level 20, there was no reason to play it. I know they've had a lot of updates since. They have the raids. The Taken King added a bit of story. But again, I didn't play that because the game turned me off from the beginning. So I never felt a reason to even give the game a fucking chance after that. So yeah, that's my distaste for that game. So yeah, that's all I can think of. The other game I'm kind of skeptical of, the World War II Call of Duty, them going back to the past. I skipped Sledgehammer's Advanced Warfare, and probably for good reason. So I've never played a Sledgehammer exclusive game. But I feel like a lot of this game is basically World at War II. A lot of what people have been asking from Treyarch, which they might make in 2018. But I don't know. I'm skeptical as to thinking that they might copy a lot of elements from Battlefield 1, because Battlefield 1 is a very successful game. I like Battlefield 1, and they probably saw the success of that game, saw that it did way better than stupid Infinite Warfare, and they were like, okay, we're going to copy elements from this and try to redefine Call of Duty, which, okay, is cool. They finally got their heads out of the gutter and got away from the futuristic style. I don't know how your audience is going to react to that, because you've got 10-year-old kids who have mastered the art of these jetpack maneuvers and all this stupid futuristic crap, but I don't know. It'll be interesting. They're also, now, of course, they announce a zombie mode, which, again, if it's not Treyarch, I don't like the zombie mode, alright? Infinite Warfare had a zombie mode, okay? This game has a zombie mode. Advanced Warfare had a fucking zombie mode. It had exo-zombies. Seriously, after Black Ops 2, everyone literally tried to copy the zombies formula. I think Ghosts was the only title that didn't after Black Ops 2. Ghosts had that extinction mode with the alien dinosaur things, which was cool. That was original. I played that mode with my friends and I enjoyed it. So, why not do more original things like that? Like, why do you have to do, just copying the zombie formula? Because, Treyarch does it best. People like that. There's YouTube channels dedicated to their zombie mode. Mods for their zombie mode for PC. I don't know why you think you can compete, But whatever, if zombies sell, zombies sell. That's the Activision mentality, just hammering into their heads. Like, oh, again, we know what we're doing. So, so yeah, I think I've talked about a majority of the titles. Call of Duty's going to be a given every year. Some Ubisoft game in the fall. I'm thinking Assassin's Creed. As usual, we know they have Far Cry 5 coming out. Again, Borderlands 3 and Last of Us 2, question marks. I want gameplay, but I don't know if they're going to be at E3. Red Dead 2, we know is coming out, but there's probably not going to be footage. Crackdown 3, again, gameplay. Not sure if there'll be footage. And then new games. What new games, I doubt Bethesda's going to have anything on the Elder Scrolls 6. Like, in terms of, far-reaching projects, I doubt they'll do anything with the Elder Scrolls 6. again, it seems like they wait a long time between developing a giant game like Fallout 4 and a giant game, you know. Think of the wait between Skyrim and Fallout 4. You know, Skyrim came out in 2011. Fallout 4 comes out in 2015. That's 4 years you're waiting, you know, for their next RPG. So thinking you're going to wait, what, 4 years from Fallout 4's end, you know, we're talking 2019, 2020 until we're getting any other RPG from Bethesda, you know, the game developer Bethesda, you know, not Bethesda publisher Bethesda that does, you know, Prey and Doom and some of these other titles. So yeah, again, this video's gone on kind of long, but I just wanted to kind of get these feelings off my chest. I'm a passionate gamer. I've played a lot of these games in the past for my YouTube channel, and, you know, sequels to them have come out and come and gone. I don't really do playthroughs. I'll take gameplay footage if people are interested in it, but I still like to talk about the gaming industry. I love it. I love the narratives that go into some of these games, and that's one of my favorite ways to experience entertainment. So I'm still very much connected to it, even though the channel has taken on TV-esque vibe. So let me know what you think. If you're any passionate gamers, or even if you like The Walking Dead and play video games, tell me what you're looking forward to in terms of E3 2017 news. Because of work, I'm, again, probably not going to be able to watch the press conferences. The later press conferences for my East Coast time, maybe. But again, it all depends. I've tried to watch the press conferences live, but I don't know if it's exactly the most important thing to me now. I'm probably just going to see the news passing by on Twitter, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. So, you know. Later, and when I have free time, I'll watch the press conferences. Every year I've tried to watch the press conferences live. Usually I catch them, but, you know, right now it's looking like I might be busy, especially this coming week. So, all right, that's it from me. Thank you guys. Again, sorry for the video being kind of long. I got to throw this into Sony Vegas to render the whole thing because I had to cut off a section of footage because I actually had to go blow my nose. So, anyway, that's it from me. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you later for more gameplay footage. And Walking Dead vlog footage. Remember, in July, in just about a month, Season 8 trailer. So look forward to that. Very exciting. That's basically, you know, the first Walking Dead vlog that'll hit the channel, because that's the main focus of the channel as of now. So, alright. Thank you guys. See you later.